All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Peter Rennet back with another toy video for you guys. Hopefully you are enjoying these as much as I'm enjoying doing them. Now, speaking with my buddy Ben C, he convinced me that top fives aren't as cool as top tens, so I decided I'm changing this. We're doing top tens from now on, as long as there's enough toys in the toy line for me to, keep that up, and I don't think I should have a problem with that. So now this is top 10 toys, not top five. So hopefully you like the change. I'll still throw a couple of honorable mentions in occasionally at the end, if the toy line warrants. So again, hopefully you guys enjoy this change, and I'm just going to keep it all in one video instead of splitting them and just keeping this nice and simple. And you can catch this both on my personal channel as well as here on Tales from the Flip Side, and you guys can get the video wherever you choose. Hopefully you like and subscribe to both channels because I'm on both of them. So anyway, without further ado, now, if you've been watching things that I've been doing lately, I can't help but be kind of infatuated with Star Wars again. So I've been doing Star Wars for, it feels like, weeks now. So this week's no different. So I'm doing Star Wars toys this week. I'd considered doing the Black Series because I've been picking a lot of these up. If you follow me on Instagram, you see I just got this Thrawn in today. And I really enjoyed the 6-inch Black Series. But that's not what I'm going to cover for this first Star Wars toy run for my top 10 article. Based off of the mention of Thrawn on Mandalorian and the heat that Thrawn's been getting the last week or so, I recently filmed a video for the Star Wars show, also on Tales, where we talk about Thrawn, and I was talking about the Thrawn toys, and in talking about those, it got me interested in, into looking them. In particular, the combo pack, the comic packs, I should say. Those 2 packs where you get an actual Dark Horse comic included with the figures. There's a bunch of those out there. They ran over about like 2 years or so before it got discontinued. There's some exclusives that went to stores near the end, a couple of cons exclusives as well, but there's a decent number of figures, maybe close to about 40 or so. And so I figured, let's take a look at those, because some of those are really expensive these days. And I was thinking Thrawn being one of them. But to my surprise, even though when I decided to do this as my list, there was a $250 sale for that Thrawn 2-pack, mostly because that comic inside is also selling for about $100 plus. I really thought, I was like, Thrawn's going to be at the top. Like, Thrawn's definitely going to be at the top. But you're going to be surprised once I hit this list. So again, hopefully you guys are liking and subscribing to channels, and I'm just going to dive just right into this. So again, as I mentioned, the comic packs, they had 2 figures in them. They were like the 3 3/4 like size, the smaller guys. They came through, and again, they included a comic, almost like the Toy Biz. Toy Biz also kind of and the Marvel Legends, the more recent, I shouldn't say Toy Biz, the more recent Marvel Legends, they did kind of a similar thing with little Marvel figures as well. But the Star Wars ones are the first ones I remember doing that with the comics and all that. But getting right into our list, surprisingly, the Thrawn 2-pack is number 10. Again, I thought that was going to be closer to the top of the list, but even with that $250 sale on December 4th, this is still only averaging about $93.66. That's covering about 18 sales. That's what I did. I just basically ran through the eBay auction histories and purchase histories, and you can see the number of sales. I found about 18 sales on it over the last 3 months, because I think that's how far it goes back, and the average sale is only about $93, which was surprising. I know a lot of it spiked recently because of the mention on Mandalorian, but I still thought a lot more people were buying into Thrawn before then. But no, it isn't the case. Even today, December 7th, an auction ended earlier today at $172.50 with 22 bids on it. So that one is definitely trending up. If I were to do this list in another couple of weeks, Thrawn might find himself higher, but for right now, he's number 10. And again, that comic is a strong selling point for this particular one, because I know CGC 9.8 of that book, I think it was the best offer, like a $1,600 ask, but still, there's a lot of money going into Thrawn Heir to the Empire 1 books, among other books, his regular mini-series from Marvel. A lot of Thrawn selling lately, so keep an eye on this one. So even though it's number 10 right now, it's trending up. So after Thrawn, we got to move on to another familiar character at number 9. Another one I thought would have been a little bit higher because it's an SDCC exclusive. This is a Darth Maul figure that also had Uncle Owen basically in with it. But that one's only averaging about $99, $99.72. And I think there was a high sale about $125 on that one. And I think it was 9 sales I tracked in looking at that. So I thought that would be higher because, everybody loves Darth Maul as well. And this was the pretty cool Darth Maul where he had the more elaborate horn sticking out and the robotic legs. It is a pretty cool figure. But again, it found its way only at number 9. And look at Uncle Owen there. He's got a blaster as well. There's also a comic in here, Visionaries. I forget what this actually reprints, but it's a pretty cool cover. But I don't know how well this one is actually selling on its own. Really, that Heir of the Empire is like the big comic mover out of these packs. While many of these comics are desirable and people like to find them, including me, I always love finding the toy comics and the toy packs from the Marvel Legends to things like this, where you can just tell it's not for resale, it's either marked on it, or there's no barcode, or it's just kind of a blank front, like as you can see with many of these. I love picking these up because you can find these a lot of times in dollar bins. They're usually banged up, unfortunately, because it came with toys, and getting these damn comics out of those plastic toy packs without damaging them is a chore. So if you can find them in high grade, that's kudos to you. That's not an easy find. But yeah, so it is what it is. So Maul ends up being our number 9. So we're just gonna keep rolling on. Gonna go with another Darth here at number 8, and this is a character, another one I think you should be keeping an eye on, and this is Darth Krayt. With this High Republic series coming, we may go back. Maybe we see something where we tie into this Darth and some of the other Darths along the line, because these characters are fan favorites. I know they're the villains, and villain spec usually isn't a good play in most superhero cases, but in Star Wars, that's not the case. A lot of the biggest books these days are the villains because they are the most interesting characters in the universe, I gotta say. The Star Wars universe, I should specify. But yeah, that Darth Krayt figure, they're also packaged with Sigil Dare. I'm going to murder these names because I have no idea how to pronounce these properly. I'm just reading them as best I can, doing it phonetically if I can. But so feel free to correct me, laugh at me all you want. I'm just going to do my best in pronouncing these names. But that Darth Krayt figure, that one is a big jump. Even though we're at number 8, we're hitting 161.60 average on that one with a high of 202.10, and so about 10 sales on that one. So it's still, it moves. It's not super hard to find. You can find copies of it out there. So keep a lookout. That Darth Krayt figure is pretty cool. So moving on, gonna hit up number 7, and the comic for that one. Oh, before we get to number 7, the comic of that one is a pretty cool reprint for Legacy. You can see you get that close up of that mask, and he's got the pretty cool, the Kate Bosworth mismatched eyes going. It's a pretty cool image. That comic inside is it says Star Wars Legacy 22, but I'm not sure if it actually reprints 22, because even though they number these books that way, it's not exactly a one-for-one reprint. And you'll see, I think, a little bit later where it's like a Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, but then they just call it Star Wars. So it's not usually a one-for-one reprint in all cases. So that's what also makes these books a little bit more interesting. But again, this one, cool cover. I would grab it if I can find this on its own too. But that was our number 8. We're going to roll on to number 7 to try to keep this video moving. And here we got a Clone Trooper pack. This is the Clone Trooper Lieutenant and a Clone Trooper. You can see this one here is has the red packs. Like I said earlier, basically there was 2 runs of these figures. There was the earlier run, which started with the blue. I think those might have been 2008, and then 2009 they came back with the red packaging. And then I think by 2010, they just kind of wrapped up and went to some Entertainment Earth exclusives, which we'll see a little bit later on in this list. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool to find that here. And just also to throw out there, just in the middle of doing our run, some figures within this run also found their way into both of these series. So you might find a blue version as well as a red version. And with those, most of them sell pretty consistently with themselves, but it's kind of interesting to find that there's a blue version, the early version, and a version 2 where they reprinted the character. I think there was a Luke figure like that, and I know there was a 1 or 2 more where it actually hit both runs. So just something to keep an eye out for. See if you do have it, which one you got. Do you have the first edition or the second volume edition? Again, pricing is still kind of all over the place. Those ones don't come up a lot in comparison. You can't really tell. They don't really list them that way as far as I can tell. So I don't know if there's a big demand for one or the other in those multiple figure cases that I'm aware of. But if you know more than me, please feel free, drop it in the comments. Let us all know. Share the information. I'm by no means an expert. I'm just an enthusiast, and I just love talking about toys. So sorry to hold up and not give our Clone Troopers the respect that they deserve at our number 7 spot here. But those guys, that package is selling at about $223 on average, and that had a high sale of about $310, which is we're starting to get pretty steep in these prices. I mean, these are little figure 2-packs, and they are selling pretty well. And it's not all just based on Mandalorian spec. As much as I love that show and it's driving a lot of these comic book sales, it's not all due to that. These are things that collectors have collected for some time now, and I may just be becoming more aware of them personally, but this stuff has been selling for years, and yeah, just something you should keep an eye on, especially if you can find them. Even loose. Some of these figures loose also do well. I'm not doing any of this pricing based on loose because it's so hard to figure with these. It's a 2-pack for one, so you may not get both figures, in the 2-pack, and then you have weapons, you have the comic. Where do you draw the line of all these prices? I can't give you prices for everything. We'll be here all night. So I'm just giving you the prices for the sealed packages of these 2-packs. But just be aware, in some cases, some of these figures sell almost as much as the 2-packs on their own, loose. Okay, that's it. Clone Troopers number 7. Again, pretty cool comic on this one as well. Looks like a Clone Trooper focused book. Star Wars, I don't even know the number of that issue, but it's pretty cool. So we're just going to move on now to number 6, just so we don't drag our feet too much along this list. So this is a pretty cool character, I think, from the Legacy series. This is Jariel and Roland Dyer. I don't know if I'm saying the names properly, but at number 6, this pair rolls in at about, what are we looking at? $229.37 with a high sale of about $249.99, so about $250 high. But considering the average at $229, that high, it means it's pretty consistently at that price. And this was one of the ones that ended up being an Entertainment Earth exclusive at the end. So this was a late run issue that just kind of dropped over after the series line basically got canceled. I think the Entertainment Earth basically got the last few figures that they had made, and they got to release them. So some of these figures are here near the end of the run, which makes them a little bit harder to find, which is why the prices are so much higher. But again, $229 is it's a solid price, and again, that average is pretty consistent with the high. So pretty cool character. Who knows if we'll see her drop anywhere, but I think it was from Legacy. It's also a pretty cool comic. It's a Knights of the Old Republic comic. I'm sorry if I was saying Legacy. It's a Coder. So again, that's a great comic series too. John Jackson Miller, who wrote that entire run, he was a fantastic guest. We had him on Monty about a week ago now. If you haven't seen that video, please go check that out. He lays it all down, a lot of information. He also owns and runs Comic-Con. A great dude, fantastic time talking with him. So Knights of the Old Republic was a great series. If you don't have those books, get which ones you can now, because some of those are getting pretty tough to come by. So let's move on to our top 5 then. So this is where our other video would have started. And you would not have even heard about those last 5. I couldn't have even talked about Thrawn if I was only doing the top 5. But since we're doing top 10, I get to hit some more. So our number 5 is Delilah Blue and Darth Nihil. Yeah, so another Darth hits the list. They chose the reprint. This looks like Star Wars Legacy number 7. It's one of the Hughes covers. It's pretty cool. But prices on these are about $257.28 as the average, with a high of about $360 on this one. That's pretty high. You got to figure for this tiny little 2-pack. Again, they're tiny little figures. But hey, these things aren't easy to come by. This was also an Entertainment Earth release. So again, it's not easy to find. And you have a Darth character that's, one of those ones you could see. I mean, right there, and that Legacy run, which is another reason why I like Star Wars Legacy 1 so much. You got Crate, you got Nihil, you got Talon in there. It's just multiple Darths give you multiple bites at that proverbial apple to get spikes and get hits if you're looking to make money. But just from a collector standpoint alone, you get to have all these firsts and early appearances. So it's a pretty cool cover. Like I said, this is a Hughes for that number 7. It's Luke, pretty cool. Can't complain there. So we're going to roll on from our number 5 to our number 4, which is, oh man, I'm going to have a hard time with this one. Our number 4 is Tira Sal and Thome. And in this, you got in Star Wars Republic 65, the comic in it. This is, again, one of those late run ones, I think. So this is $387.45 as the average. Almost $400 with a high of $420. Granted, this is only 4 sales over the last 3 months, but still, there's not a lot of these out there for you to have. So these prices are high, but this ain't easy to find. You can see this is the red series, so this is that second run. Like I said, this must be one of the later issue ones near the end of that run where they just production line just lessened until they basically canceled the line prematurely. I would say, but there's still demand for them. there's definitely still demand for them. So that was our number 4. And like I said, Star Wars Republic 83 is a, why does it say 65? I'm sorry, I might have jumped to the wrong comic here. Oh, I jumped ahead. That's my mistake. Star Wars Republic 65, Mace Windu. It looks like you got Kit Fisto on there as well. A pretty cool cover. And so I just kind of stumbled over myself and previewed our number 3 pick, which is another Clone Trooper pack. But this is a Clone Trooper with a Clone Commander in the pack. And this one, they got the kind of camo gear. They kind of look like the Scout Bike Troopers, at least one of them is. And this sells for a $400 average with a high of about $500. Granted, for this one, there was only 2 sales, but you figure to average $400, you had basically a $300 sale and a $500 sale. So it's still a pretty tough figure to find, and it's not cheap. So Clone Troopers, don't think that it's a throwaway just because they're the cannon fodder. No, in some cases, the cannon fodder figures are the tough ones because people aren't as attached to them because they are considered filler. Like the kid doesn't want to go to the store to pick out the the extra guys. They want the hero, they want the villain, they want the big names, they want the unique looks, not the standard trooper. But these are the ones that become tough to find because they don't get sold as well. So moving on from that, again, as I said, the comic book here is Republic 83, pretty cool. But we're going to move on to number 2, which for this one, this most recent episode of Mandalorian also really got me settled. This is also the figure that made me really decide to do this toy line as my pick for this week, is this Jaster Muriel and Montrose figure, because Jaster was mentioned when Boba, punched the button to say, hey, look at my history. Jaster, he basically took in Jango Fett, trained him, so he's almost adoptive grandfatherish of sorts. I don't know. It's really weird considering he's a clone and talking foundlings. It's a convoluted history, but it's an interesting one. So with this one, you get that pretty cool Open Seasons book. I think that's the cover. That's issue 2 in there, but I'd also keep an eye out for the actual book, Open Seasons 1, as well as 3 and 4. I mean, it's a great series. I'd get them all if you could. But this figure is really, really cool. I really wish I could have this one, another Entertainment Earth exclusive, but it's just out of my price range. This one's averaging $434.94 with a high of $639.99. I can't afford that personally. It's just crazy expensive. And that's over 8 sales. So it's not a ton of sales, but it's also not just 2. Like this figure sells when it's out there. You can look them up now and you see the prices are up there. It's not a cheap figure, cheap comic pack, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the comic on its own does, but like I said, it's a pretty cool Open Seasons book. You get that, pretty awesome. You got the 2 Mandalorians there. It's a pretty cool cover. I got to imagine, given the rarity of this figure, that the comic book is rare as well. Just throwing that out there. But just keep an eye out for both if you can find them. It's pretty awesome. But so that's going to take us to our number 1. And our number 1, which, again, I'm going to brutalize these names. M.U.S.C.L.E Droma and XR Kun is our number 1. This, I believe, is one of the last figures that came out in the stores right before they went to exclusives. So I think that's the reason why this one is so expensive. Again, a $490 average, $490.60 is the average with a $650 high sale. It's crazy, this little comic 2-pack, $650. And again, that's 7 sales as well. So it's not a tiny amount. It's not just 2. It's not just 1 sale. It's not a weird, out of the norm, one-off. You can say this. You can say these prices it gives you a solid average. So nearly $500 for this 2-pack is nothing to sneeze at. And as I was mentioning before, for this one, you can look these up. Either of these 2 figures loose can get you about $200 each loose. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on because these aren't very familiar characters. These are kind of characters that the regular folk who don't love Star Wars won't know. So they'll just find these toys and just throw them in piles and bins. So if they have open figures that they've gotten, you can check yard sales, garage sales, flea markets. Who knows? You can find these loose figures and make yourself a few bucks because $200 each is pretty solid for a little loose 3 3/4 figure. But that was our list. I think it's pretty cool. These 2-packs. I wish I had more. I got the Thrawn on the way for myself because I just couldn't resist. And I don't know. Hopefully I find more of these, but they're not cheap. There's tons of good ones that didn't make the top 10. As I mentioned to Luke, there's some Vaders. There's a lot of cool stuff in this line with these 2-packs, and a lot of them will sell, for close to $100, like for the 2-packs, but they just didn't quite make it to, to the list. But yeah, that's it. That's our top 10. I do have 2 more honorable mentions, so if you just want to stick around for a couple more minutes, I'm going to hit those up really quickly. And the first honorable mention, as I said, nearly making the list. And I mentioned her name before, Darth Talon. So you got Darth Talon with Cade Skywalker coming in as one of our honorable mentions. These average about $85 with a high of about 133. This one sells a lot. There's 28 sales on this, so this piece moves because Darth Talon is a figure I'm sure if she were to make a screen appearance would just set collecting world on fire. People would just love just the look of this character, and it'll just blow up. But who knows? I don't know where they're going with this Star Wars universe, what characters we're going to see, which ones we're not. We got new comic series coming. We don't know what they're going to touch on. It's all exciting to me. I can't stop buying any of this stuff. Like, I'm buying toys, I'm buying comics. I just can't get enough Star Wars personally. Sorry. Next week, I promise, I'll do something else. But this week, I'm still going to be representing my Star Wars love. So that's our first honorable mention. Again, this hits up that Legacy series. You can see the comic in this one is that Legacy 2, another Adam Hughes cover. Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you can find those Legacy comics, I believe Hughes did the first handful of issues. I think he did 6 out of the first 7 issues. I don't remember. It was like 4 or 5. He didn't do the cover. But fantastic covers and just fantastic books. Again, a lot of cool characters introduced in that Legacy series. And that also ran for about 50 issues. So try to get that entire run too, because who knows what's coming, down the line. So I got one more honorable mention for you guys. I just thought this one was a little bit fun. I know we've done all 2-packs up to this point, but this one is actually a 3-pack. This is Machuk, Kilo Keech, and Ketch. 3 Ewoks. You get Star Wars issue 94 in it. This is a Walmart exclusive. So this one is also, I think, not as easy to find, but still, there's numbers out there. I mean, a dozen sales. There's $84 average, about $118 high sale on these 3 guys, and you get 3 of them. Pretty cool. Granted, Star Wars 94, that looks like one of those old Ewoks comics. It's a little bright with that pink, but still pretty fun. I mean, how can you not love an Ewok just standing there posing with that Stormtrooper helmet underfoot? So hopefully you enjoyed those last 2. It was just a little fun. I just wanted to throw a little extra there on the top 10 list. So again, hopefully you enjoyed this list. I enjoy doing these and looking at this stuff because I'm interested. I'm trying to buy what I can, but a lot of this stuff I can't afford. I mean, you look at some of these prices. I can't be throwing $500 down on a little package figure. It's just not in my budget, not with all the other habits and collectible things that I like to get. So it's just kind of fun to look at, kind of fun to review. Please like, subscribe to the channel. As I said, hit up the comments. Tell me some toy series you want to see. I've been given a great list, to hit down the line from, Visionaries, M.U.S.C.L.E, Battle Beasts, tons of stuff that I want to be able to do classic, as well as hit some of the new stuff. If I start seeing some interest in the, the McFarlane DC figures, some of those start moving on the secondary market because that's kind of what I want to show you. I want to show you what's moving and the prices, just so you can be aware. So if you see some of this stuff out there and what you might actually even have in your own collection, to be like, I had no idea I had this Thundercats figure because I love, Lion-O, but now I can see what the value is in that thing. So hopefully you enjoy these videos. I enjoy doing them, and said just keep this collecting hobby fun because it's toys, man. All right, cheers.